Let me start with the Star newspaper. On the front page, why results transmission may fail again. Why results transmission may fail again. Uhuru's 2017 victory was nullified, partly due to results transmission failures. That is what's on the front page of the Star newspaper. And it says that because of poorage, at least 1,100 polling centers yet to be connected to 3G. That is what's on the front page of the Star newspaper. Actually, this comes at a time when IEBC held their first meeting at Bomas of Kenya, where all the presidential aspirants presented their documents for verification at the Bomas of Kenya. That function still continues today. Again, here, confusion roils Wiper Party over Kalonzo game plan. It's said that Wiper Party parliamentary group and leaders saying that there's some, confusion is rocking the Wiper Party over his leaders, Kalonzo Musyoka's game plan, after the outfits official asked him to rejoin ODM boss Raila Odinga's Azimio la Umoja coalition. Now, this, as reports emerge, that the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition agreement could be reviewed to accommodate Kalonzo's fresh demands after a fallout with Raila over losing deputy slot. That's something that we'll be discussing in the next segment. Woman sues Sonko for 450,000 shillings child upkeep. She says that she's unemployed and cannot raise 86,000 shillings for fees. The woman is seeking at least 450,000 from the politician. She also wants Sonko compelled to contribute 50,000 shillings for food and shopping, 45,000 shillings for rent, 30,000 shillings for security, and 20,000 shillings for clothing. The woman also wants 20,000 shillings for house help, 86,000 shillings for school-related expenses, 20,000 shillings for medical cover, 4,000 shillings minus salon expenses, 5,000 shillings for DSTV, 50,000 shillings for minus school debit card, and 5,000 shillings for gas, among others. Okay. Inside Ruto's 4-day coast campaign to counter ODM's Raila, I said that Ruto's tour at the coast comes exactly 10 days after ODM leader Raila Odinga visited the region between May 11th and 15th. Now, the DP will try to wrestle the region from Raila's grip, which is for a very long time has been considered an ODM zone. More details, again, you can take a look at that story in the Star. And the story about Kalonzo Musyoka, it said that at a meeting bringing together the party's parliamentary group and aspirants for various seats, Wiper leaders insisted that Kalonzo Musyoka should team up with Raila and drop his presidential bid. Kalonzo had on May 9th declared that he had parted ways with Raila and launched his parallel presidential bid on the Wiper ticket. We had Wakili Stephen Katisia, who said that yes, that Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka will still go it alone on Wiper party. Is it going to happen? The parliamentary group voted 45 to 50 to 5 out of 50. So how is it going to pan out? He said that Kalonzo is out of the country, so decision making will all be his. Jen.
Let me now bring you to the Daily Nation. That story concerning the woman who sued Sonko for child support has also been featured here. Same figures have been mentioned here, demanding 448,000, rounded off to 450, to cater for rent, food, security, clothing, domestic help, entertainment, medical insurance, education, transport, and utilities. She goes on to say that Sonko abandoned his responsibility, and they are both the biological parents to this girl, who is 15 years old. She told the court that she met Sonko in 1999. They began a relationship which eventually led to the birth of this young girl on the 17th of April, 2007. So you can get to read more about that. Other stories that have been featured here. Wiper resolves to drag Kalonzo back to Azimio. 45 out of 50 aspirants under the Wiper banner voted for Kalonzo Musyoka to rejoin the coalition. Here they go on to say that he did share his thoughts through a phone call, given he's currently outside the country. But the meeting was convened yesterday, and Wiper Party aspirants voted by a huge margin for Kalonzo Musyoka to rejoin the party, and they thought the meeting would last the whole day. But according to what Wiper Vice Chairman and Makueni Senator Mutula Kalonzo Jr. had to say, the meeting began at some minutes past 9 a.m. and by the time they were breaking for their tea break, some minutes to 11, they had already made up the decision to have the party leader rejoin the coalition. Coming to the main read here, Raila unveils campaign dream team. Now this team, the dream team, has been broken down into 16 teams. 15 have already been mentioned on this particular daily. However, according to a source that was privy to this particular planning, they say that another parallel team that will be spearheaded by Ms. Karua will be unveiled to tackle the Mount Kenya region. But so far they have 15 teams out, 3 of them led by women and 2 by youth, and the rest have been categorized the country into regions that they're going to be tackled by the various teams that are led by CSs, governors and MPs. And of course the presidential team is led by presidential aspirant Raila Odinga and his deputy Martha Karua. Away from that, there's an interesting story here concerning fraud that has been on a upward trajectory when it comes to using phone numbers, and this is a story that has been featured, or rather has found its way on this particular daily a number of times, and now this time it involves a senior police boss in Nairobi. He's actually let me get his title. Mr. Peter Mwanzo, in charge of the Kasarani Police Division. He was defrauded 597,100 Kenya shillings just through his phone. All right. You see the way you get random calls from a number that you do not know, so you keep hanging up, and especially if you're in a space where you can't answer. That was the situation for this gentleman, getting these incessant calls till he put his phone on flight mode. And upon doing so, he gave the fraudsters all the time and opportunity they needed to swap his SIM card, register it again under different details, and they were able to clean him out. His bank account that was linked to this number at Equity was cleared of 597,000. His M-Pesa also acquired so many debts and also Airtel money. So this is a situation that it's a case that is in the courts. It's going to be heard on the 29th of June. So be careful with whom you share your phone number with. Doreen.
All right, so form one's yet to report as learners take a midterm break. This is what the PD is holding for you this Tuesday morning. Remember that the midterm break is actually set to begin by Thursday, Friday there around this week, and the ministry is still complaining of the fact that the 100% transition they had hoped for the form one is still an issue they are grappling with. So this article highlights part of what they intend to do, even as learners are in midterm, and even they will be going back to school after this midterm break. And obviously, again, the story on Kalonzo Musyoka returning to Azimio fold. This is as Wiper team cautions the Wiper leader. He had obviously moved to run at it alone, but now the Wiper party, the team members, they are now seeking that he returns back to the fold. Part of the reasons they had cited as what made him to disintegrate from their coalition is the fact that they were not privy to some of this information that was being announced by the Azimio presidential candidate when he was unveiling his running mate. But even as these members, what they're saying is that this could really be the only option, and perhaps a good option, for Kalonzo Musyoka, just taking that position that was given to him by the Azimio presidential candidate. Remember that also he is not on record refusing that position in any way. And even as that is happening, aspirants now race against time. Yesterday, remember that the IEBC met the presidential candidates, 55 of them, that was as of yesterday, and extended at that time to the 25th of May. That is up until tomorrow midnight, when the aspirants have, that time to submit the remaining documents that they need to submit to the IEBC. So as of yesterday, 11 were thrown out of the race, given the fact that they had not given names of their running mates in due time. So even as that is happening, by 4th of June, the Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate will be meeting the IEBC, and by 5th, the Azimio presidential candidate will be meeting the IEBC for that meeting that also took place yesterday with some of those presidential aspirants or even the presidential hopeful. Now, the latest as it pertains to the Green Park bus terminus, going by what was mentioned yesterday by NMS, is that they have extended that opening to a date that they haven't yet mentioned, and this is obviously going by the complaints that Kenyans had, and obviously residents of that ply, specifically Langata as well as Ngong Road, and also from the Matatu Association chair, who had said that they had not set a specific place whereby Matatus will be waiting after they drop off and pick passengers. So because of that, NMS has extended the opening of this green bus terminus to a later date. And lastly, more youth getting hooked to smoking. This is what tobacco agencies is now warning, and this is again in preparations for marking of the World Tobacco Day, which is set for the May 31st. That is next week, Tuesday. This is also a conversation we'll be having this Tuesday morning. Troy.
Indeed. And the Standard, the headline says Kalonzo Camp 6 super deal in Azimio. Is something that we have had highlighted earlier on in our news, where aspirants vote to have Wiper leader back into the Azimio camp, subject to fresh dialogue, and they're spelling out their stake in the coalition days after the leader of Wiper pulled out of the Azimio One Kenya alliance and talked about going solo. Still on the front page, stringent IEBC rules and run for Joker presidential hopefuls. We had 40 independent aspirants, 14 political party-sponsored presidential aspirants. We had 1 coalition presidential aspirant, a total of 55. They are now down to 44, but they are also subject to another scrutiny by the 6th. They should have submitted all the documents that are required. It's also something that we had highlighted in our news as well. Heading inside the newspaper, we see suspect in Mugota killing surrenders to DCI, something that has really brought a lot of discussion in social media, asking whether this is the same guy who was caught on tape shooting to death a businessman in Mirema here in the county of Nairobi. Something that also has come up when to talk about matters, Paul, is the violence. And looking at Homa Bay, we had some pockets of violence where Kidero and Wanga point fingers at each other of violence in Karachuonyo, and Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i is saying they will not tolerate anyone who will be going to the elections to fuel chaos. And also, elections will not affect economy. But the good CSD talk about assures private sectors that the business will not be affected. They will be safe before, during, and after the general polls. Investors not told not to flee, because each and every political cycle we always have a polarized economy. Of course, inside there is more on politics, why most independent aspirants for top seat are likely to drop out. Talking about 2,000 signatures and ID copies from 24 counties proved a tall order. Moving on, there's disquiet as Ruto rallies support for UDA tickets. They're talking about the 6 Ps from the MCA to the president. They want UDA, but incidentally that is not going down well with some of their coalition partners. Remember, they have around 14 coalition parties there, and they want to also be fielding their own candidates. Still on politics, Mount Kenya will be safe in my hands, vows Karua. That is the Karua and ODM leader Raila Odinga did talk about how they will fortify and galvanize the mountain, and also say dangling a political carrot to members of the clergy, saying that they will have a say, and a big one, in their government. Well, petitioner wants Keroche boss out of Senate race over tax cases. Petitioner says that since the 2006 Keroche industry led by Nakuru UDA Senate candidate Tabitha Karanja has been evading or has had numerous cases of crime related to tax evasion. They say Mrs. Karanja is not suitable to hold office, but that is yet to be cleared by IBC. But IBC yesterday, Wafula Chebukati saying we have a very lax political laws in the country. And perhaps before I wind up, we look at the region. Museveni's first son, Muhonzi, clear signs of a succession plan. Remember, Kenya and Uganda, Uganda is our biggest trading partner and the second when it comes to matters tourism. So we are going to see how Museveni's son wants to, for lack of a better word, metamorphose, because he was a military officer. And according to the constitution of Uganda, you cannot hold any political seat if you are in the military. Well, that is all we had. But of course, you can take the paper and peruse over. There's still business and also sport. Thank you so much for that session. We're having a short, quick break, but we'll be right back with a very candid interview that you do not want to miss.